Hey everybody. So it's a Sunday afternoon here in New York City. It's raining today. I wanted to make a quick video and I wanted to talk about that inner voice we all have. Many of you know I was raised a Jehovah's Witness from age 6 and I left at age 28, right? Um, and the years before I left, I'm going to say from my early 20s to mid 20s, I was getting nagging doubts from time to time. I get these doubts and nagging questions in the back of my mind. They kept telling us that Armageddon was imminent. It was coming any minute now. It's right around the corner. And imagine hearing this for all these years. It's not showing up. No Armageddon. And in the meantime, my life was all of this cult related stuff. So I'm going to all these meetings, I'm reading all this cult literature, I'm going out in field service all the time, I'm going to district conventions, going to circuit assemblies. So my life is revolved around this cult. I'm making all these personal sacrifices. For example, Jehovah's Witnesses aren't allowed to go to college. So that's off the table. That right? Can't do that. I love politics. Jehovah's Witnesses aren't allowed to vote. They must be political neutral. Again, so that's off the table. So, you start making all these personal sacrifices and you aren't really happy. And then you begin to wonder, well, what if this is just a scam? What if you're just being used? What if you making all these sacrifices for no reason at all? And so I was beginning to feel like my life was just passing me by and all this stuff. And it was really, it was really depressing at times. It was no, it was terrible because the problem is when you go to the cult and you let them know that you're having doubts and everything, the first thing the cult does is they inundate you with more cult stuff. So in other words, if you tell them, listen, I'm having doubts about all this, they tell you to pray more. They tell you to read their Bible. They tell you to read more of their literature. They'll tell you to study and go out and field service more, which means all you're doing is bringing them more members for the cult. Sometimes they'll tell you, listen, we want you to study with a spiritually strong person in the cult. And that person's going to help you get spiritually stronger. And so again, it's more time and stuff spent doing cult related things. So, and does it answer your questions? Not really, because you're going back to the source of the problem to get a cure. So it doesn't really, help. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. If you're a Jehovah's Witness and you're having doubts and you're having questions, I wanted to lay out for you some steps you could take, right? And again, none of this stuff was available to me in 1995. It's available to you now, so you might as well have, a starting point as to what you should do. Okay. So the first thing you should do, if you're having doubts and questions and everything, is you need to independently research the cult. And that means you cannot access Watchtower's resources for answers. You can't go to jw.org. You can't go to their books, their magazines, their Bible. And the reason why is because it only is going to put the cult in a good light. It's not going to answer your doubts and everything. It's just going to make the cult look good. And that's not what you need. You need to know the truth about the truth, so you don't want to go to the cult's resources. You need to research this independently. So that's my first piece of advice. You have to be open to just searching and investigating independently and just letting the facts lead you to wherever the facts take you. All right, so that's your first thing. So the way I would start this is the first thing you should do is research cults. What are cults? What are the characteristics of them? Who do they recruit? How do they recruit people? How do they retain membership? What are the tactics that they use to recruit people and maintain membership? So those are some of the things you should look up. Thoroughly research cults. That's a great place to start. And the reason I say that is because cult specialists do consider Jehovah's Witnesses a cult. And so you need to make that determination for yourself. And like I said, the best way to start is to first determine what a cult is. And again, so researching cults is the best starting point. Another resource that there is online, there's a website, jwfacts.org, and it lists all of these various facts and pieces of information about Watchtower. And you should access that website. And again, it is full of so much information about Watchtower. So that's another resource. A third resource on YouTube, there are various XJWs with channels that are very helpful. So John Cedars has one. XJW Critical Thinkers is another one. Another one is Kim and Mikey. They're, again, these are all XJWs. Some of them are elders. You can access their channels, and they, are very informative. John Cedars' channel, he stays up to date with Watchtower's what they're doing. So their circuit assembly information and district convention information, all that stuff. He keeps up to date with it, and he points out the flaws in it. So again, if you really want to know, is this a true religion, or do they have the truth? That's a great channel to subscribe to, because he takes on the doctrines of JWs, and so that's a good channel to subscribe to. Another resource that's available, Crisis of Conscience. It's a book that was written by a former governing body member, Ray Franz. And for those who aren't familiar, the governing body is made up currently of 8 men, and what they do is they make all the policies that affect the lives of every single Jehovah's Witness on this planet. So Ray Franz was a former member of the governing body, and in writing his book, he points out how flawed their process is in making decisions and policies. So that is a fantastic book to read. Fantastic book to read. Another book that's available online. Okay, the Ray Franz book, the Crisis of Conscience book, that's available on Amazon.com. This next book, Shepherding the Flock of God, that is a book written by Watchtower, is given only to elders, right? So that book is not even supposed to be handled by any female. It's available online as PDF. It was originally released in 2010. It's been revised twice. So, the current latest, the most recent copy is available online. And again, that is a great resource to read. It's the Shepherding the Flock of God. It's for elders, and the reason why is because when a JW member gets involved in bad behavior or misconduct or whatever, they set up a judicial committee. It's made up of 2 elders who meet with this person, and basically they find out, the facts of what happened and everything, and they make a decision as to how this person is going to be disciplined. And so that book is a guidebook for the elders in carrying out that work of disciplining others, and but it is a good book to read, and that the policies, again, the flawed policies of Watchtower are listed in that book. And again, another resource. So some of you already know this, some of you don't. Watchtower used to be a member of the United Nations. In all of Watchtower's literature, they speak negatively of the United Nations. And so it was a shock to me when I learned that Watchtower used to be a member. The reason why Watchtower speaks negatively of the UN is because in their literature they state that only God's kingdom will bring about world peace, and that the UN is trying to presuming to do something that only God's kingdom could bring about. So that's why, in their literature and all their doctrines, the UN is God's enemy. It's not. It's presumptuously trying to do something that only God's kingdom can do. So to find out that they were a member of the UN, and the agreement that Watchtower signed is that they would promote the causes of the UN. So that would be a conflict of interest. Anybody else, if a rank and file Jehovah's Witness member had gotten any way affiliated with the UN, they would have been disfellowshipped in a New York minute, gone. So I don't know how in the world Watchtower became an NGO of the UN. They hid it from all the members for years, and again, no one was disfellowshipped for this decision. No penalties, no anything. So again, that's another place to look. Another thing to look up. It's available online. The UN released a letter stating that, confirming that Watchtower used to be a member. So again, that information is available online. So Google that and get to the bottom of that. Another resource on YouTube. It's called the Australian Royal Commission, and those are videos. It was a hearing that was done in Australia, and it was regarding the cover up of child sex abuse amongst Jehovah's Witnesses, amongst other organizations. And so that video is available as well on YouTube. I believe it's 8 days of testimony, and I believe the member of the governing body, the last day of the test of testimony, I believe it was 8 days of testimony. The last day of testimony, a governing member of the governing body was there. His name is Jeffrey Jackson, and he was there. And I'm telling you, that again is another eye-opening piece of information. So I've listed a few resources for you to get started, on your journey of discovery and investigating Watchtower. Um, to the audience, anyone listening who already is an XJW, if you have any other resources that you feel will be of help, absolutely, please list it in the comments below. If you're a person who's having doubts and you're having questions, again, I'd love to hear from you. I wish I had someone that had done this for me when I was first leaving. When I left in 1995, there weren't all the resources that we have today. So basically, when I left and I just didn't look back. I didn't know where to dig for answers. So I just left. And I figured I'd just move on with my life. But now all of these resources and things are available. And so it really is easier for a person who is having doubts to get those resolved. And so that's what I really want to encourage you to do. Don't be afraid to dig for the answers. Be open-minded. Use critical thinking skills, when digging for these answers. And then you can make your own decision. I mean, no one is saying that once you've discovered, the truth about the truth and you've done all this research that you have to leave. Some people are just, listen, I'd rather just stay in. My family's here. I'd rather just stay. There's no right or wrong answer, but at least you're making an informed decision based on facts, which is the ultimate goal, right? We just don't want to see people stay in out of fear or from misinformation, right? So that's my video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Everyone have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.